The Texans are moving forward with their plan for a new headquarters, and this could mean multiple different things. It has nothing to do, or at least it's not exactly the same thing as potentially building a new stadium or renovating NRG. This would be strictly for the front office, the training facility, the potentially the practice fields and where they have training camp and all of that. So I think there's three ways to look at this. One, why does it matter for the team? Two, why does it matter for the players? And three, why does it matter for the fans? Because I'm not 100% sure that most fans care about this or not. I think there are some reasons they should, but just perhaps entice you a little bit. I'll read exactly what the situation is while you take a look at Cowboys Fit, which is a fitness facility that they have that is exactly the same. It's a replica of what the Cowboys actual training facility that the players use, that's right next to the Cowboys facility up there at the Star in Dallas or Arlington or wherever the hell they are. The Houston Texans are fast tracking plans for a new world-class team headquarters and training facility, with team president Mike Toman announcing accelerated talks with potential hosts. This rapid progress has led to staff reorganization, dedicating full-time resources to the project. Toman revealed multiple suitors have proactively approached the team, prompting the Texans to prepare for a major decision. The new facility is envisioned to include an entertainment district with retail, similar to the Dallas Cowboys Star in Frisco, aiming to spark economic development. The Texans plan to self-fund the project, potentially with tax breaks and incentives. Potentially, Harris County is a strong contender, offering land at Energy Park that could complement stadium renovations, while other entities in the greater Houston area are interested. This move aligns with the NFL trend of teams building headquarters separate from their stadiums. I am curious as far as whether you guys care. If you do care, what do you want to see at the facility? I think training camp is going to be the big thing that really matters from the fans' perspective, and then some of the watch events. But for why the team cares, one of the big things right now is it's hard to explain without sounding like you're complaining about rich folks' problems, that it is a pain in the ass not controlling the facility and having to share it, not just with the rodeo. And the rodeo is more than a few weeks. It's the setup for the rodeo and everything else, but it's the concerts, it's the circuses, it's the Disney on Ice, all of those things. It kind of affects the way the team operates, where you have your walkthroughs, all of that. And it's pain in the butt. So just from a business perspective, it makes sense for them to move into something that's more streamlined and efficient. The distraction of having all those events doesn't really affect the players necessarily, but I can see why it affects the front office staff and the coaches, especially because they're there at such long hours. Sometimes the parking gets all rejiggered and you can't park in your normal spot. It's a pain in the butt. And then to be as cynical as possible about this, it matters to the team in that they can make more money if they go to something kind of like City Center, over there on the Beltway and I-10, a facility like that, which is very popular in retail these days. The Texans, depending on how what the partnership looks like, they could have some revenue splitting or sharing. Some of the things like Texans Fit that used to be around, and then Evo bought out all the Texans Fit. And Texans Fit, I used to speak for them, full disclosure, but I really liked it because they had like an AstroTurf training area. You could get on the personal training side of things, you could skew it a little bit more to the athletic side. Up in Dallas, they claim that the players work out on their own time sometimes in Cowboys Fit. I'm not 100% convinced of that, since their facilities are identical. So in the off season, maybe if they just want to go and mingle with the public a little bit, you get a little variety. But the Texans can make more money. That does ultimately affect the bottom line, or at least the top line, in being able to give guaranteed contracts, things like that. The richer the organization is, the easier it is to compete. It's not as big a deal in the NFL because of revenue sharing. It's not like it is in baseball by a long shot, but the more actual cash you have in your coffers, when you give a guaranteed contract, you got to set aside that amount of the guarantee in escrow and let it sit there not earning interest. So there's a cost. There's a cost associated with that. The more cash you have, the better. So the better the financial health of the team. That makes sense, and that gets into some of the fan and player side of things. Why the players care, and again, trying not to sound like complaining about rich folks' problems or anything, but those guys are all rich, and there's certain things about the setup the way it is right now that are really a pain in the butt. If you look at the Falcons facility up in Flowery Branch, because theirs is away from the stadium. Like you see the weight room there with the practice fields directly next to it. The locker room is right there. The training bubble, the practice bubble is right there. So when you're working out, doing your strength training, and then you want to go do field work or agility drills or anything, you can do it all in one workout. It's a lot harder with the Texans facility the way it is. For the guys who need rehab or are working with the trainers, especially, for them to go from the training room all the way over to the practice fields to do a running workout and then come back to the training room, there's a lot of time wasted just getting over there. And yes, it might be 5, 10, 15 minutes, but that adds up, especially with the training staff, which they've got limited windows with which to work with the players. So streamlining the actual process to make it easier for the players makes it more efficient, and theoretically over time, that improves performance as well. The other thing about from the players' perspective, I think, depending on where they put it, because like they said in the article, it could be at NRG Park, it could be in Pearland, it could be out in Katy. We don't know. I think for the guys that don't want to, the guys that don't have the FU money, or the rookies, or people that work in the front office, if you do move out to the suburbs, I think for a lot of people with families especially, you can actually get a nice house with a big yard without having to spend the multiple millions of dollars you have to in West U or in the Memorial area or something for a house, or just even a big condo. It gets really, really pricey. So that's appealing for the players. From the fans' perspective, I think there's a few things for training camp, most especially, because that's the one where the most hardcore fans go and spend time around the facility when it's not in a game day. And the training camp, I think I put on the thumbnail something about porta potties. Yeah, like it just, if you look at the way the Cowboys do it, you probably can't see this that well. Up there at the top, that's their practice facility. And they have training. The Cowboys go elsewhere for training camp, but they do have practices at that facility, and there are some fan events where they can watch it. It just opens up the opportunity to have more permanent facilities where you don't have porta potties. You can just, it's a more comfortable experience. And then I think also for watch parties, if you look at that area in the center there, that's like that common, I guess they're making an equivalent of like at City Center, that big open area that they have. Let me see if I have that up here. Let's see. Is this it? Nope, that's not it. Oh, here we go. You know that big green area at City Center? It's fun. I remember one of my first moments where I realized just how diverse Houston was I was sitting out there with my wife one day. We'd gone to eat, or that's where Texans Grill used to be. Remember Texans Grill? Another opportunity to have at the facility. And it was crazy. When you looked at it, it looked like a United Colors of Benetton ad. Just all these different people speaking different languages, different races, ethnicities, and everything, all joined by commerce and capitalism. It was beautiful. It was the most American thing I could imagine, and quintessentially Houston. But if you have watch parties there and you don't have to just rush in and do everything, you guys know what has happened at some of the watch parties they have down in Discovery Green. Every now and then the feed goes out. Like you get all these glitches and it's not quite the same. Parking's a pain in the ass. I do think it would improve the fan experience. I don't think that's the driving force for it 100%. Money is always going to be a big factor in a lot of these things, but I'm intrigued by this. It's not like, oh, finally they're doing this or they're idiots for doing this. I just I'm intrigued by it. Retired Rose says, you've missed the last few. You have my undivided attention. Oh, and you come for this, a relatively frivolous topic. But thank you, Retired Row. This is biased since I live in Springer, Tomball. If they build up north here, and they'd have lots of space there. It's a very fast-growing area. The outlying areas I find very appealing right now for me. Just to get out of the city a little bit. 290 and 99, another banger location, and then they build living developments all around that area. Yeah, and it's if you go, which spring training? I want to say it's the Cardinals facility at spring training. I believe it's the Cardinals, where you can see how over the last 40 years, a little village, a little town has been built up around the facility. Kind gosh, I was there like 3 years ago, and it's really cool. It's really cool to see. They've got condos, they've got apartments and everything, but it is a little nucleus that you end up building around. We've seen that. This is Houston. This is what we've done. Whichever developer the Texans decide to team up with, they're going to have had experience with stuff like this, and I think it's going to be a commercial success, but also from a fan's perspective. If I could go to an Andre Johnson steakhouse or a JJ Watt steakhouse or something, and it's got the full backing of the Texans and all so that it cannot fail. The name is too big to fail. If you do an Andre Johnson steakhouse or a JJ Watt steakhouse with a statue out front, it's going to succeed. And you're going to have the right people partnered, and you're going to have, why do restaurants fail? Underfunding much of the time, and other times health code violations. We can get away from that. That's why you don't have porta potties. No porta potties. You can go watch the Texans in relative comfort and go to the bathroom in a bathroom made out of concrete. It'll beautiful. No, they don't have a steakhouse. That's the great tragedy of it all. But they could have a steakhouse here. I live inside the loop, so I like the currency. I know I get a little bit nervous too. I feel like I'm traveling in a foreign country sometimes when I travel outside the loop, turned into a city slicker. And yet I enjoy it when I'm out there, It's just put it down in Galveston. Just go out and enjoy whatever's floating around out in the air on any given day, depending on which way the wind is blowing in Galveston. So that's where we are with that. We'll